campers, I'm Leicester. No, I am not a city, that's my name. If you're enjoying the music that you're hearing, that's good, because I was the one that made it. Check out my music on SoundCloud, if you feel like it. Shameless plug over. Without further delay, I'm here at gunpoint to introduce this week's Benny Shakes Things Up. So anyway, without further ado, here's Benny.
Hey, thank you, Leicester, for that. How did you like the new music?
I was literally going, this is rave music. Having a little rave because I was thinking, oh right, this is not the music that happened before. This is very good. I like the music. Big enthusiastic thumbs up.
Well, my friend produces it and I just use it. So, yes, so how have you been? Because we haven't seen you for 2 episodes.
I know. Hello, Internet. I'm back again. Good thing, bad thing, make up your own mind. But yeah, I've been all right, Benny. How have you been? I've been watching the episodes. Good stuff.
Good stuff, yeah. Have you come down from the high cloud from yesterday's amazing gig?
I mean, yeah, just about.
Yes.
Just about. I'm almost down again, and that's good. But not like down. I've not gone below the normal level, if that makes sense. So I've not had the post gig dip.
No, I haven't yet. I think I'm going to get that tomorrow, round about lunchtime. But anyway, we've got some good guests on today.
Yeah.
They've both done well in their careers so far. On radio, writing for, I forgot, writing for playhouses. Is that the word? I don't know. But we will bring them on and let them tell you, because like always, Benny has forgot. So let's bring them on. We have got David Eagle and Vicky
Melody.
Right.
There you go.
There I got there. So that with me, shaky mouse. There we go. Yeah, we're on.
Hello, David, and hello.
Hello. I'm looking forward to the post-gig dip. A little bit. This is like a communal bath that we have to have, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't think of it like that. I was going for like sherbet dip dabs, those kind of things.
Okay, well, we can be on the sherbet later as well. You got to get through lockdown somehow, haven't you?
Yeah,
and I love the music, Benny, as well. At the start, it was really going for it, and then but I like the fact that the difference between the music and then the guy who made the music, his announcement, because his music was so frenetic, but his announcement was so laid back. You would never believe that someone so laid back could make such frenetic music. But I suppose he probably spent all of his energy making the music. He just couldn't muster up an announcement.
Yeah. He probably will be on watching later.
Oh, well, it was wonderful. The music, so we'll have to check more of that out.
Yes. So how are you, Vic?
I'm great, thank you. I'm really good. I like your introduction that I write for playhouses.
I've got it here.
Sounds like illegal theatres, doesn't it?
It's also like for for children's, like either children's television or children's like little, I don't know, rooms that they go and play in. I'd like to do that job. It sounds
Lovely job.
Yeah.
It's theatre. See, it's popped into my mind. And it keeps jumping out. So, yeah. So, well, before we start, we normally ask everyone what their disability is. So, let's go. I'm old-fashioned, so let's go ladies first. Vicky, is it Vic or Vicky?
Do you know what? I hate Vicky.
Right.
I wasn't going to correct you unless you asked me, but as you brought it up, Vic or Victoria is fine. Both fine. So my disability is I've got ADHD,
Right.
but I'm quite hardcore. Like when we did all the diagnosis and all the tests, I'm in the top 5%. And just to give you a like smashing it at ADHD, like to give an example, I go to an ADHD support group, and there was about 30 people on Zoom the other night, and you could see all their little faces, and I was the only one who was like that. I drank about like 2 pints of water, a cup of tea. I was constantly up and down, and I was just like, whoa, that is intense.
So if you was a superhero, you would be the main woman to beat up the baddie, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because I could probably take out 2 people at the same time, like punches overhead, but all by accident. And I'm also I'm on the autism spectrum as well.
Hey.
All the names are always changing, aren't they? I don't know whether it's autism spectrum disorder or what the latest ones are, but yeah, so that was a newer diagnosis, but I'm sure we'll talk more about that when we're get rolling.
Yeah. And what about you, David? What is your disability?
Well, I am boring and anodyne in comparison. I blind. That's it. I feel like I should be making stuff up, but no, blind. That's all I got.
It's all right.
Good old-fashioned blindness.
But if you was a superhero, because you're blind, your hearing is stronger than anyone else.
That would be, I suppose, that would be. I mean, there is already the blind superhero, isn't there? There's the Daredevil, but I don't know whether it really plays on the hearing that much. So maybe that could be it. I could sort of hunt out. I'd hear things that nobody else could hear. I'd just be like following bats around and that kind of thing. Maybe I would team up with Batman because we both have the same level of hearing.
Yeah, that's good. So Batman, if you are watching,
exactly,
Dave's out of a job.
I am, and we've got a guy who can make the theme tune for it as well. So it's all working out. So that, Vic, it would be the perfect theme for you, what you just heard there, because that was so frenetic. Did that kind of really, does that help with what you have?
Do you know what? I missed it because I was getting all the drinks ready for the...
right, well...
For this. I missed it, unfortunately. Hopefully
it was like... It was like that. That's an exact recreation. I mean... I am a little bit worried. It was so close that Facebook now might be taking us off because we haven't got the copyright for it.
No, I have got.
You have got copyright for that one.
Yes.
You were telling me that you got. I don't know if this is public knowledge, Benny, but you were telling me that you got into trouble from Facebook because you were singing a song last episode and Facebook recognised it.
No, it was Twitter.
All right.
Alex Leam, who we've had on the show, he does a awkward questions on Sunday night
at
8 o'clock, and one of the awkward questions was about a song, and Alex dared me to start singing it, so I started singing it, and Alex followed on, and all we got after was, "I've just had a warning from Twitter," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, dear." So yeah,
Wow. That's how accurate the singing was. That's very impressive that it tricked the algorithm.
You see, I
Well,
like to think that actually the copyright holders were just trolling social media, trying to find people singing their song, but that's obviously not how it works. But I like to think that's how it works.
Maybe someone Shazammed it, and then they found out that way.
yeah.
Well, in terms of music, though, Vic, is that like, would you prefer the more frenetic, or does it make no difference? Is that the kind of music that would work for you?
Oh, so I do listen to classical a lot when I'm working, even though I don't know anyone's name apart from like Beethoven. I listen to quite calming stuff. But like if I'm walking somewhere or if I'm late, that sort of music, perfect. I'll get there in no time.
Before I forget, because I did forget, if you're watching and you want to buy one of these amazing comedians a cup of tea or a pint, you can always donate to me, Benny Shakes, something. And
it's on the bottom of the screen. It's essentially it's along the bottom of the screen. It should be in the comments section where you can donate.
Yes.
But yes, it's Benny Shakes Benny Shakes. I'll wait for it to.
I don't think Children in Need was as slick as this yesterday.
Benny Shakes. Benny Shakes local with an E at the end. X equals EN_GB. There we go. That's
MC squared.
We'll do that for you.
Well, I think the money's going to be rolling in after that.
We'll do that at the end, but we'll do that bit at the end, Benny. But yes, we could have done that bit instead of me desperately trying to watch the scroll going past.
Now, can you put that in a rap, Benny?
Yeah. If you can't afford anything, I would rather some more views. So share, like, subscribe, and the rest. So yeah, sorry about that, people.
That was wonderful. It was a wonderfully catchy advert.
So, I am for rent, for TV, radio, anything you like. So yeah. So guys, how did you guys get into comedy? We'll go with David this time. How did you get?
My thing before doing comedy, so since 2005, I've been in a folk music band. We're going to cover that song, actually, the one. I think it'll go really well with some haunting harmonies, some maybe a couple of verses about coal mining. I think we work really well there. So I've been in a band, a folk trio with a terrible name called the Young'uns, and the reason for the name of the band is because when we were teenagers, when we were 17, there was a pub that we were in, and it happened to have a folk club on, and this is just a night where everybody just sings songs without the need of a microphone, and a lot of the time sings without instruments and just belts out all of these harmonies and just sings local songs that you don't hear in the charts or anything like that, but songs of industry and songs of agriculture and songs of local heroes and sea shanties and all of this, and we were blown away by it and thought, oh, this is incredible. So we kept going week after week and eventually plucked up the courage to sing, the three of us. And that's why we got christened the name The Young'uns. And that name, unfortunately, stuck. And you can't really change it now because we've been played on Radio 2 and that kind of thing. So we're stuck with that name. And we've been doing that professionally for the last 7 years. And, of course, in the same way as like Billy Connolly or someone like that, the music, you start, you do the music, but then you've got all the stories and the anecdotes and the jokes that come along with it and the chatting to the audience and that kind of thing. And I found that I was doing that so much that it became difficult to get a song in. And so for the good of my band, I thought I need to exercise these demons and start doing comedy. So in the spring of 2018, started doing stand-up, and I've been doing it ever since, apart from obviously the last 6 months when we've not been able to do it.
Yes, it's terrible. What about you, Vicky?
So,
Vic.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, so I got into it because I write and perform in theatre, and my theatre shows are about I'm a bit like the Louis Theroux of theatre, where I'll embed myself into a community for a really long time, and then I'll make work about that tribe and talk about my experiences. So in the past, I've been a pigeon fancier, a Northern Soul dancer, a beauty queen, a championship dog show handler, a funeral director.
Yeah,
and I made my most ambitious show a few years ago, and my dad was in it, and we had a 6-piece band, and it was a really big show. My most ambitious project I'd ever worked on. And basically my dad was in it, and it was about mortality, and it was about giving him a funeral whilst he was still alive, and I had trained to become a funeral director, so I was demystifying the funeral industry and examining the marketing guilt. And it was a really bonding, we presented this sort of like really bonding show, and it got really good, really great reviews. But the problem was Dad and I were not getting on, so we were presenting a being a kind of loving father-daughter relationship, but backstage we were literally throwing scripts at each other.
Oh God!
Oh my goodness.
But the thing was, at that point, the reviews were in, people had booked the show was touring, and all the tech people had received their tech specifications and things like that. So I couldn't change the show to look at this new kind of issue that had arisen. So night after night we were performing, and it felt a little bit like a sham. And so after that, I thought I want to try something more instant, something that doesn't take, a 12-hour get in and months of producing and all of this other stuff. And so I was like, you sod theatre, I'm going to become a comedian because people tell me I'm funny. And so then I just decided I just like that was going to swap my career and do something else. And then I realised it's really hard.
It is hard to get off the ground. I mean, I've been doing it 18 months now, and when I'm in the car, my diesel bill is sky high. I do it because I love it.
Well, public transport as well, Benny, is what obviously I have to do. And it's just, and especially at this time as well, coming back, trying to do gigs after lockdown, and the money for doing a gig is just absolutely non-existent now, because you've got half capacity, or like a quarter of the capacity even, and these venues haven't been open for so long, so they've got to make their costs back. So like if you're either doing gigs for free, or I'm like doing gigs for a tenner or something, and then I've got to go and do and some better gigs than that, but always focus on the negative. But sounds better. But it's weird because you've still got to do all of the public transport and that kind of thing, and so you spend all your money on that. And then the weird thing is, sometimes if you get the honour of being asked to headline a gig, you sort of, that's brilliant, but you might only get like a tiny bit extra money. But then you've got the fact that now you've missed the last train home, so you've got to get accommodation on top of it. So I wouldn't want anyone out there to think that we're raking it in here doing
We're
comedy.
not, trust me.
The weird thing is, when people, you speak to like a taxi driver or like when you're heading to the train station to do a gig, or you speak to someone on the train, and they'll say, "Oh, so how do you support the comedy then if you're not making money?" And I go, "Oh, the music does that." Like, I must be the only person who says, "Oh, yeah, I support the comedy by folk music." There we are.
I mean,
it's all right with that advert you did earlier. We're going to be raking it in after this.
Before lockdown, I was getting to where I was gigging 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I work. My hobby was to build bed boxes in my shed. Yes, I do shake. Yes, there are sores, but look, I've got all my fingers.
You've got all your fingers, Benny.
Yeah, sorry. But because I was up and down the country, I had to sell all my gear. But I wanted that because I love gigging. Like we've just said, I go for that buzz, that drug of adrenaline. Yeah.
Then, of course, Benny, and maybe you don't experience this, but then there's the gigs where you don't get it. The gigs where it doesn't go quite as well, or you're testing out new material. And there's that temptation to always do the tried and tested stuff, the stuff that works, because you want that feeling of laughter. But then the more you do it, it doesn't work as well. So you've then got to add new jokes, but you don't know if they're going to work. And when they do work, there's nothing quite like that high. But when it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how funny the rest of the material is. If it's old stuff, I go, well, they're laughing at that because I was funny back then, but I'm not funny anymore. And then there's those moments of the soul where you really haven't think, and you've got all that time to think when you're standing in a freezing train station for an hour and a half. Oh, it's a glamorous life, my friends. Well, again, as you say, it's addictive, isn't it? It's addictive, and we continue to do it because it's brilliant.
And you've got the magic joke as well, the joke that works once. That you hadn't planned, and then it goes, and then you try it again next time, and it just doesn't work, and you're like, and it never works again.
Yeah,
it's like it's the magic joke.
I think that audiences can sense that you've never done it before. There's an energy, there's something there. Maybe I feel like almost I can feel it in my eyes. Like I feel like my eyes get brighter. This different energy, and I maybe lean further forward into the audience, and I'm like, oh, I've just thought of this, and they can tell that I'm laughing with the joke. And then it's difficult to fake that, I find, and maybe you're better at that, Vic, because after what you've just said about your dad, well, you wanted to kill him by the end of the theatre show, but then you were getting on.
Well, just to clarify, we get on now. It's fine.
But now you've got to do a theatre show where you hate each other, and there is the irony.
It's really that magic joke that you're talking about, Kate, because then I mean, people do the 3 time rule, don't they? If it doesn't work 3 times, throw it away. But when it's worked like that, you just keep doing it, and you're like, it will come back.
And I record all the gigs as well, so I hear it back, and I talk to myself. I go, listen to them; they were laughing. It's almost I want to get the audience and go, right, hang on a minute, listen to this. Listen to this. They laughed at the last time, and I have a go at the audience for it. But I don't know what it is. You're right. It is an interesting thing. But I think it's just that moment that they can tell it's improvised.
It is because I recorded my gig last night on Zoom. Now, to me, that was a bloody good opener, what I did. I've never opened for a gig in my life. No, I did once. This was the second time.
There was that time, then that time. No, carry on, sorry.
Really good, but I played the video back and I'm like, they didn't laugh at that. But it's different on a Zoom gig. I mean, guys, have you guys done many Zoom gigs? Vicky, I know you have.
Yeah, so I've been doing them because it's a good way to test out material. And I think, because, you know, it's been ages, you know, I mean, I had between the last lockdown and this one, I did get a bunch of live gigs in, which were amazing. But like, I've carried on gigging online through the whole time. Otherwise, I don't know what would happen at the end. I might not be able to perform, or I might not have any material. And so it's helped my writing, and I give myself a bit of a break. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, there's 8 people in this Zoom audience. Don't be hard on yourself if that joke doesn't go well. Give it another go. You know, that's not the proof in the pudding if they don't laugh. But I can really see the progression with the comics that have continued to gig online, and you know, the ones that I saw at live gigs between the lockdowns. I don't know what we call that. The pit, the real pit of life. The ones that
lock up.
Yeah, the lock up. The ones that hadn't been gigging were struggling a bit. So I think it's been good. What about you, David? Have you been online?
I have done, maybe I think I did 1 or 2 maybe, and the first one I did was odd because you couldn't hear or see the audience. Obviously, being blind, I never could see the audience, but performing comedy to complete silence. Exactly. Yeah. I have done that. No, it was weird. It was weird doing it, and it was just odd as well because the organizer, he encouraged people to leave messages in the window. So, like, you know, but it just meant that you'd be halfway through a joke and someone would write ha ha ha, and it just came across as sarcastic, if anything, you know. Especially for me, because obviously everything's with a screen reader. So, you know, I'm just in the middle of doing the joke and I suddenly get ha ha ha, which is very off-putting. So I did find that sort of a bit of an odd experience. And I also found the fact that the second gig that I did, and I think this was the only other gig, you did have an audience there, and he encouraged about 10 people in the audience to leave their microphones unmuted so that we could hear them laughing. But all it meant is we could hear them laughing now and again, but we could hear them yawning, belching, farting, you know, crunching crisps, slurping their drink. I mean, so you had all this going on. So it was a strange situation, but there's also the buffering thing as well, so that you would do a joke and it would be like 2 seconds or something before they would laugh. Yeah. And that sort of then led to this sort of anxiety I felt of like doing a joke and then waiting and sort of going, should I wait or should I just do the next joke? But the trouble is, if you didn't wait, what would happen is you do something and then you just continue going on, and then they would go ha ha ha, and then and then you'd listen for the laugh, and then so you had to develop a rhythm, and it meant that you would do a joke and you'd wait for 2 seconds and you'd go, oh, are they going to laugh? Oh no, they haven't laughed. And then you'd think, is the internet crap or am I crap? And it was this like laughter roulette game that I found that I was playing. So it led to quite a lot of anxiety and like a different type of rhythm I felt. And then it was weird going back to doing actual comedy again live, and the laugh just going bang and hitting the visceral feeling of an actual audience and going, oh, I was expecting them to buffer for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But I think the difference between online gigs and live gigs is I feel like it's better to go on earlier on an online gig than later on, because people get really tired and you start to see them actually fall asleep. And you're like, oh no, half my audience is asleep and I'm coming on in a minute. So there's an advantage to opening for once.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I want more, but there's not many out there. But I do believe GMB do a good online gig.
Good morning, Britain.
Okay.
G should be clear. G and B, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Not Good Morning Britain. I thought Piers Morgan started a stand-up gig.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you do a bit of stand-up. Piers Morgan goes, I don't think
please book me for a gig. So yes.
Yeah, you've done
Last
GMB,
night
haven't
at
you, Vic?
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, that was, and actually the promoter of that car is really good at making sure that you don't have anything in between you and the microphone. As an audience member, so it's like you don't have people like having plates and things like that.
Cool. Yeah, because he was managing the tech last night, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I met him briefly. So yeah.
Yeah.
Where was he?
Where were we?
Do you wanna? We've got two comments, but I don't think they're really comments.
Well, why don't you read them and we'll find out? We can check it, can't we?
I will let one of you, Kate or Vic, to read it.
Okay. Emma Sullivan says, I'll let you read the other one, Vic. Check out Department of Ability. It's a comic book where all superheroes have a disability.
Oh, wow. I know the person who does that. That's made by a child. It's made Emily, I think she's called, and my friend Charles. It's his granddaughter. And it's a wonderful story, and I wish I could tell it better and remember all of the information. But she's in a wheelchair, and they've put together this comic book, and it's been on the national news, and she's won an award with it, and met all sorts of people through it. And maybe at some point, who knows, it might get they're sort of in talks with all sorts of people, and there's going to be other bits and pieces as well. So definitely check that out.
And the next one is, I'll let you read it, Vic.
This is from Grav20. As the late Terry Wogan used to say, dig deep into those pockets.
Dig deep into those pockets.
Dig deep.
Is it my friend Gav or not? I don't know. So, yeah, cool.
There we are.
Yes. So, do you want to ask?
I mean, is he saying dig deep because he want about money, or is this like a sort of fondle your balls type thing?
I don't know.
Give me your balls a little fondle there. This is my lackluster Terry Wogan impression. If it doesn't sound good, it's because of the. I'm going to blame it on the internet.
Yeah. Do you want to ask your important question, Kate?
I do want to ask a very important, hard-hitting journalistic question of both of you. What is your favourite biscuit?
I don't think you can go wrong with a bit of shortbread, can you? Bit of shortbread.
No.
Cheeky, isn't it, shortbread?
Isn't it weird that of all of the questions that so far have been asked, this is the one that's thrown my brain into complete disarray? Is this like a mainstay of a question?
Yeah, there is a running tally going.
Yes.
All right.
Of who's had what.
Oh, do you know what? Chocolate hobnob.
Okay.
That's a good one.
That's got elements.
I'm not going to say Jaffa cake because that caught controversy, and we don't want that kind of thing here.
We will accept Jaffa cake.
Well, I feel as if we'll steer clear of that. Otherwise, you'll be getting another warning from Twitter.
Well, that's a copyright problem.
Can we accept a cheesy biscuit from Joe Coffee from last week?
Yes, we can. We can. Yes. It doesn't have to be a sweet biscuit.
No one said it had to be sweet. I feel like I should just give an answer, really. I'm just running through an index of biscuits now.
You can do it
in my head.
Oh,
I like
You don't really.
The weird thing is, I feel for expedience sake that I should just say something. We can move. I can give a reason if needs be. It may not be what I honestly think is my favourite biscuit, but there's just something that's stopping me from doing it. There's something that I don't want to nail my colours to the mast. I don't. Well,
Don't worry,
a mask. You're always wearing a mask these days.
I did have to say we don't like write down, find out your address, and then mail you constantly this particular biscuit. That's not how it works.
What?
I'm sorry to disappoint you and any other previous people. It's not this is what you will be offered in person.
I feel that this is the kind of question that shouldn't be rushed, and I hope you agree. And what I'd like to do is, I think there might be some people who, as Vic said earlier, might get bored at some point in the next few minutes and might start falling asleep. But they won't fall asleep if they know that they're on the precipice of my biscuit revelation. So can I come back to that? I'll definitely come back to it by the end of the show.
That's fine.
Yes. Let's do that.
Wonderful.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
Stay tuned.
Certainly. I'll tell you what I can tell you what Terry's favourite biscuit is, if you like.
Go on.
Well, that would be the Wogan Wheel.
Oh,
Wogan Wheel.
yes.
Right. I'll sit back now. My work is done.
We've had this question once before, and I got in trouble for answering mine. But what have you been watching or listening in lockdown?
Okay.
What did you get in trouble for, Benny?
Because I didn't get in trouble. Because I shake, I've been watching YouTube videos of hands.
Oh.
Just still hands. I mean, Kate, do you watch people with left hands? No.
That is that the idea hadn't occurred to me before.
I like it. So it's like
maybe that is an afternoon's viewing.
So you're living vicariously through them. Or are you trying to train yourself, Benny? Or is it just a sort of vicarious enjoyment?
Every time I see a good pair of hands, I must say, can you put them in your will? So when you die, I can get them transformed so I don't shake. But then I think, well, of course I will shake because it's nerves, it's not hands. It's just...
So you want their nerves? That's what you should be asking for in a will.
Nerves.
You'll think this through, my friend.
Heal their nerves out.
That's what you want.
Why did you get into trouble for that?
No, because someone put on a hand job.
Have you get into trouble again?
Well, that's the problem. If you shake a bit as well, Benny, then you type in hand, you might want to press left click to just do that, but you might accidentally just go and the next one down might be hand job before you know it. I mean, that's a good excuse for watching porn. I just accidentally shook.
Okay, we've gone there. That's fine.
Yeah.
This is an adult podcast now.
It's only 8:37. I was going to say they should be in bed.
No, I'm joking. Some of my podcasts I put on Spotify as children can watch and listen, but this one will be adult only.
Oh, I feel like that's a shame. I feel like children would have enjoyed it up until this moment. The soothing sounds almost like a lullaby with the music at the start there. And perfect for children.
Do you know what, David? I love you already.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you perform live when we get out of lockdown.
Yeah, well, that'll be wonderful, and it's really nice to have met you two, and you three. And it's the thing about it is actually that's one thing that I feel like since lockdown I've met so many comedians doing sort of stuff like this and interviews and just chatting to people, and and that kind of thing, who I've never met. You saying, Benny, that you've never met Kate before, but you've been doing this podcast.
No, I haven't met either Vicky before.
Yeah, or Vic even.
Oh, Vic.
My goodness.
You wouldn't meet Vicky.
Yeah.
Vicky's dead.
He's dead, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
in March, end of March, April, beginning of April, me and Mark Buckwood, we had a stop laughing, Kate.
I'm sorry.
It's
Okay.
a private joke. We had a FaceTime meeting and said, there's not enough. What can we do for disabled comedians? So, one, I started this podcast, and two, me and Mark set up a Zoom meeting every fortnight. You guys are more than welcome to come along. Beware, it does get hairy sometimes. But it's fun. We offload, and it's just a safe place to be at these scary times. So you're more than welcome to jump in. Hi, Leicester. You've come.
Leicester's there. Excellent.
Do
Wonderful
you
music, Leicester.
Yes. There we go.
You want a vocal harmony version doing? I'll have a chat with the other two in the band. See what we can do.
So, yeah.
Boost.
Cool.
How about that? Boost. Is that a biscuit or is it a chocolate bar? It's got biscuit in the middle.
I will accept Boost.
You'll accept it? Well, that's what I'm going for. I absolutely. I'm so enjoying it. I can't speak. I'm making my own words up.
What I wouldn't accept, however, because I've got a weird little rule. I won't accept something like a Twix because you can get them in mini biscuit form, but you can also get them in chocolate bar form. And I'm like, make up your mind. Are you a biscuit or are you a chocolate bar? But I'm quite happy to accept Boost because it's got bits of biscuit in it.
You are absolutely fine with Jaffa cake, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing hard and loose. I'm shaking it up, as they say.
Well, exactly. Excellent.
I'm shaking up the biscuit question.
I don't know where this time has gone. Before we go, has anyone got anything they want to plug?
Well, I feel happy that I've done the biscuit question and we've managed to go. So that'll do. Oh, well, I could. I mean, my website is davideagle.co.uk. I think I've even got in my display name my social media thing at the David Eagle. So you can do all of that on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And really, there's not really much more to say because if you do all of that, then I will be ramming stuff down your throats. Anyway, so.
What about you, Vicky?
Yeah, you can get in touch with me on Twitter at Victoria Melody.
I thought it was Vicky Melody.
Yeah, not Vicky Melody, everyone.
Not Vicky.
Not that one. No.
So when we're allowed, I'm making a new theatre show called Professional Stranger, and it's a bit about my diagnosis. It's a bit about stand-up comedy. It's a bit about how doing stand-up comedy, and it's quite interesting that we were talking before about that dopamine and that adrenaline and how it's a drug and addictive with doing comedy. Because I found that doing stand-up comedy has made my symptoms of ADHD kind of go away a bit.
Oh,
so
wow.
I've been working with a neuroscientist, and we've got this headset that reads your brain's electrical activity, and we've been trying to see what happens in the brain when you tell jokes.
Wow. Have you been in touch with Robin Ince about that at all, Vic?
Not yet.
he would love something like that because he's obviously into comedy and science and wrote a book about that. I don't know if you've read the book.
There's Vicky's website.
Oh,
you've got your website.
David's website.
My goodness, wonderful.
We are professional here now. It took 8 episodes, but we are getting professional.
Well, you did ask me to come on the episode 3, Benny, but I refused. I said I'm not coming on until it's professional.
Yeah, wait until it's good.
I thought we're going to wait until it's professional. Yeah.
So cool.
I said you got to change that music. I want something more frenetic.
We have got music at the end of the show.
Oh, is it different music?
But we have got another 10 minutes, so yeah.
Oh, I felt we were winding up there.
Yeah, me too.
I've got nothing more to give.
I think Benny was like,
No, sorry. The way my head works says things popping in and popping out.
I mean, I would suggest we'd all join hands virtually and sing "I've Had the Time of My Life," but you'll probably get banned from Twitter. So
yes, let's not get banned like Alex.
Well, that sounds fascinating, Vic. So I'll look out for that. Sounds wonderful. Yeah, I think someone like Robin Ince would absolutely love that as well. So
I think it would break on me because I'm not good at joke writing. I'm good at doing how I want the story to work, and then I have to go to my friend Tommy Wager or someone else to right, I've got the beginning, I've got the middle, can I have the punchline?
Just a small matter of the punchline. But that's not really that important, is it?
Yes, they give me the punchline.
All right.
Yeah. Well, Tommy's the one who helped me make Benny shake. So
yeah,
I must give him some credit. So yeah.
Sounds good. I want someone to do my.
I want a Tommy Wager.
Well, Tommy Wager is on Facebook and he's more than happy to help write for people. So just look him up.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He's a good friend. So yes. So
I could say, like, why did the buffalo dressed in drag cross the road? That's my job done. Then he can do the rest of it. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I will ask him. So at the end, well, it's not the end of the show.
Oh, no, it's not the end. We've still got 8 minutes, yes.
Before the end of the show, we always say, do you regret your disability?
What a wonderful question. Do you want to go first?
We go deep.
So what's the question? Do we regret it?
Yeah.
No, would we rather not have it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like, sometimes when things aren't going my way and I'm really frustrated and in a low kind of feeling of low self-esteem, but then there's nobody else like me and there's no one doing what I do, and there's loads of patronizing language, isn't there, around I know we were talking about superheroes before, but like you know, when I got my autism assessment, the assessor was like, oh, I'm going to induct you now into our new powerhouse of women who are really great and successful on the spectrum. You know, you have this superpower. And I was like, oh God, you know, and people say, oh, you know, ADHD, an out of box thinker, you make connections where there weren't any. And there is this kind of way that we're described, but it's kind of true. Like, like my ideas are really weird, and I don't think anyone else would think of them. And I've got the capacity to make people laugh and make them cry, and as we were talking about the Zoom before, make them fall asleep. So yeah, so I regret it sometimes, but most of the time, no, I don't.
Cool. David?
Yeah, I completely resonate with that, Vic, because you know, of course, you could say in an ideal world, I wouldn't have this and I'd be able to see and all of that. But the trouble is, I mean, mainly it's less about having the sight, and it's more just about how the world is set up to accommodate this.
Yeah.
Maybe some people think this is a ridiculous thing, but you know, sighted people aren't using their hearing necessarily to its full potential, or their other senses. They're not using their brain in that way. And if society was set up differently, so that that it was predominantly hearing that we gave the focus on, then that would be different. It wouldn't necessarily be a more right or wrong way of working. I mean, maybe someone from a scientific perspective could say, no, well, light travels faster than sound, so therefore it does have more import. But I feel it's really important that I think like a disability, whether it's a physical or a mental, cognizant one, whatever, it shows different aware as different to doing things, and therefore can broaden the potential of society in general. So, for instance, pilots, I believe now there's a technology where they get a tactile representation of what's going on. So this may be more for like fighter pilots, that kind of thing. But when you're upside down in a whirlwind and you're moving all right, you can't see where you're going. So how do you know where the ground is? So the way they do it, or the way they're prototyping this, is to have a tactile representation, so you can tell, oh, this is the rough terrain, that means it's the ground. So when you can tell when the ground is up, so they're using their hands or their hand to be able to do this. And the reason that came about was because it was modeled on diagrams for blind people. So that is a way in which something exists, because you're just taking an idea that was used to better somebody else's life who couldn't see, and now they're using it in a real life example. And I think the thing as well is that everybody is, you know, as we get older, people are losing their eyesight more and more. So as people get older, they're going to have eye conditions. They're going to need corrective eye surgery, but also that's not even going to help a lot of the time. They're just going to, that sight is going to naturally atrophy, which might sound doom and gloom, but it means that if we, you know, set up a world that's better for me, in the long run, it'll be better for everybody. So I think we can learn a lot from disabilities. But,
yeah. Right, we are at the end, but
you sure? I thought it was another 3 minutes.
No,
we were like, this is the end, but not quite.
Before we go, next week I am interviewing Donald Trump and his wife. So if you could ask them a question, David, what would it be?
Has he come on just because he's got confused? It's Shakes News. Is that what he's coming on? It's the Shakes Media. And what would I ask him? Oh, I don't know. How's the wall coming on? He's only got like 2 or 3 weeks now, hasn't he, to get it finished? Otherwise, he's completely not done that. And that was the main thing that he was in for. I don't know. I think, to be honest, one thing, I think you've got Donald Trump is the perfect person, because he clearly has some kind of disability going on, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about disabilities, and for someone like Trump, who apparently, you know, in an actual scientific sense of the word, or a socially sense of the word, hasn't got a disability. Look at the way that he functions and look at what he does. And sometimes, you know, that says more, isn't it, than what your actual disability is. So you've picked a good one there.
What about you, Vicky? If you could ask him,
you're going to call Trump Trumpy?
A question, what would it be? And I will play it next week.
Okay, thank you, Benny, Shaq. So what I would ask is, where did you go, Trump? When they were counting the votes, you disappeared for 28 hours. Yeah. What did you do in that time? Where did you go? It's a mystery. I mean, Were you getting a new toupee, a spray tan? What were you doing? Love to know.
Cool. Well, that is the end of the show. This time.
You could have given us some warning.
Oh, right. I do apologize. So next week, like I said, we've got Ian Fulbrook playing Donald Trump.
Oh, you see, I thought we had the real one there.
Well, the way things are going, Benny, you might be able to get the real one. He's desperate now.
Yeah. He's got
Fox have
time.
deserted him, you know.
And we've got Joe Coffey playing his wife. We are going to have
Melania.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Kate said. Yeah, go on, Kate.
No, just because he's had 3 of them. So it's like you need to be clear which one he's had.
So we're going to have 3 comedians come on and ask them questions for 5 minutes each. Then after 5 minutes, I get to kick them off. So, yeah, lovely. So, bye everyone, and we will see you next week.
Play the music,
Thank
Benny.
you very much.
And that's all from Benny Shakes and Friends for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Remember to click on the bell for notifications. And remember, if you like the jingle from Leicester in Nottingham, or you would like to support the regular podcasts, then please click on the links below.